Rare inscriptions found on the walls of a newly discovered mikvah in Jerusalem dating back to the Second Temple period. Linguists will now have the task of deciphering the ancient graffiti from the past. IBA's R.A. O'Sullivan was there and filed this report.
It was a salvage dig, excavating what will soon be a nursery school, when archaeologists discovered a cavity underground. They crawled into the small carved entrance, buried since the time of the Second Temple, flipped on a torch, and were astonished. The walls had a message from the past. They were filled with inscriptions and drawings, most scrawled with mud, and were preserved because the cave was filled and buried. It turns out it was a mikveh, a ritual bath.
It was an amazing discovery. From my experience, this was a very unique find. We know about hundreds of mikvaot in the Jerusalem area, but it's very rare that we find inscriptions and drawings from the Second Temple period. In this mikveh, they were preserved in a very high state of preservation, and we were able to decipher inscriptions and understand a few dozen drawings, which include palm trees, ships, and possibly a drawing of a menorah.
The graffiti wasn't a dedication or praise to a king, but the writings of the simple people, the Jews of the era. 2,000-year-old graffiti. It was Hebrew script of the Aramaic language.
From what I understand, there are a few private names which are written in the Aramaic. Some of the names appear in the lexicon of the period, but it's still too early to say if my interpretation is correct. This subject needs to be studied maybe for many years in order to completely understand the messages which were written.
In archaeology, you often find items, walls, buildings from the past era, and it's very rare that you are able to receive a postcard from the past.
These inscriptions reflect the daily life of the people who either used the mikveh or used this cave, possibly to live in it, or maybe to hide in it during a period of war or turmoil. So these inscriptions are not inscriptions which are meant to be read by many people. They're part of people's private lives.
Covered in large boulders and completely concealed under the soil and stones, possibly intentionally, thus adding further mystery to the find. The Antiquities Authority have removed the plaster walls for further study. R.A. O'Sullivan for IBA News.